And the last tip I will give you before I round off on this point is that you need to work with MOD education, which is the body in charge of IELTS. You understand? In Nigeria, though there are different bodies, there are 2 to 3 bodies, but I found out that British Council, even though I had my first result, my first perfect result 2018 in British Council, I found out that MOD education, if you prepare well, you can easily get good scores, because the last IELTS I wrote was through MOD education. You understand? And as you could see on my result, 8.5, 9.0, I was happy with the results. You understand? I was happy with it. I was content with it. So if you want to be contented with your result, MOD education or education is what you should use for IELTS. And before you write your TEF Canada result, just like I showed you in my past experience that I shared with you, first take DELF, and DELF is cheap. TEF Canada right now, if I'm right with it, is about 200 and something thousand naira, which is about 200 300 and something, 350 something dollars. But if you do the cheap DELF, which is like $74 or something, you understand, in Nigerian currency, is not up to 10,000. What am I even saying? Is not up to 20, 30,000. You can use that to prepare, and they always have it in sessions. Like, I think the first one is coming in, the first one in Nigeria, where I wrote mine for DELF, I wrote it around like, or they always do it around June, July. The other one is always around December. So you can actually prepare within now, do you understand, and December, to actually get to prepare and get the perfect point you require for IELTS, TEF Canada, TCF Canada, and the rest. Now, please, who is really enjoying this? Who is enjoying this? Because I see that we are really having a lot of people going with me, understanding what I'm doing now. Please, if you really understand this, if you really enjoy this, put it on the chat section. Let me know that I really have people that are, you understand, that are going with me, that are, you understand, following and being attentive to this presentation today. Now, moving on, I want to talk about now. A lot of people try and make these tests complicated, because when people hear about that IELTS, they say, "Oh no, I don't want to do that test. Oh no, I don't want." Many people complicate these things. Some people even go and write. I've had situations of people that went to go and write 5 times, 6 times. They didn't prepare. Do you understand? And they kept on giving them nonsense scores. So please, don't complicate it. As I've given you before, don't complicate the scenario. You can complicate it when you are trying to do what, what people always do: try and error until something does. Don't do it. Please, I'll just advise you, if you really want to take your thing serious, I've given you tip: follow no road, use the materials that were recommended, and do you understand, follow the registration part that I've given you, that I've laid down to you now. Do you understand? And you will just find out that it was actually easy, it was simple, but many things they see online makes it complicated. Now, with that, we come to the fourth thing. I'm trying to see how I can actually break down all these things. Thank you very much. It says I'm with you. Really appreciate that. Very educative and informative. Thank you, Daniel. Khadija, Bolanle, I'm following very well, very well. I like everyone for really participating in this. Now, we have been taking it a kind of circle. We talked about eligibility process, credential evaluation, language test, and now we are in winning NOC code. Now, this was the game changer for me when I was applying for PMP. And because people take it trivial, sometimes when clients come to me and I do a kind of review of their application, it may just be that little bug. That's for people that are into tech. It will just be that little bug that I just decipher, just that little bug that I technically solve, and they think I'm a genius. Meanwhile, it is something you could do yourself, but they have to pay me to actually do it for them because they don't know how to go about it. You understand? The fact you have IELTS, TEF Canada, or any other thing does not mean that you get selected if you don't have the winning NOC code. So the question now is, what is NOC? So that you don't spoil your PMP plans if not careful. Now, my own bad choice. I talked about giving my own story. I want to always talk about my own story so that you really understand what I've gone through too as well. Now, My own bad choice that almost crashed the dream of POF or PNP rather was using the code that was not meant to allow me to get to Canada. NOC 41210, college and other vocational instructors. Because if you look at that NOC code on the internet, it will show you that yes, so anybody that is a language coach or someone that is a language teacher, that is the code that it is meant for them. And yes, they are not wrong. That is why I said what you see online, what you actually see online that you don't understand can also affect your application if you don't use it right. Now, this thing that I'm telling you right now, the NOC code, because yes, as I told you, I was a director, a CEO of A.O.S Academy. I was teaching French. That was my life. Do you understand? I was a French teacher, English teacher, French teacher. And I was preparing people for IELTS, training them for TEP Canada. But I wasn't selected. I was self-employed as a French coach, helping people, you understand, in the ancient city of Ilorin, Kwara State, Nigeria. But I had to study the most picked NOC codes in 3 to 4 PMP draws before I got sense. It's very important. And this is how I learned it. You know, sometimes you have to learn some things by force. When I applied and the way you selecting me, I had to learn these things by force. And I don't want you to learn it by force. I want you to learn it by choice. Do you understand? And that is why you are here. The first choice that I selected for PMP, and I was so glad that my PMP finally worked with the first choice I selected. But the first choice I selected was Ontario Immigrant Nominee Program, OINMP. So I checked their invitations that they have given to people. You understand? Their invitations to apply that they have issued to people. And I found out that there was a trend. Do you understand? There was a trend in the kind of people they were not just applying non-entity. They were not just approving people or accepting or inviting people that they already had many of. See, language coaches, there are plenty in this place. Let me just tell you, for free. And you know, I even spoil it. Some people do it for free, cheap. You understand? There are plenty. So you are not unique when you come as a language coach. So I had to check that, okay, what were the kind of people they were really needing in Ontario? And with that, it made me check that, okay, what I needed was to actually align one of the NOC codes that they were needing to what I could do. I checked Quebec as my second choice, PMP, and as I told you, I was invited through Quebec too. I checked their invitations, and mind you, see all those links. You can always check those links to verify these are facts. These are their original websites, their provincial websites, so there's no fluff here. So check it and also look at it. Saskatchewan, they will always tell you to download. You understand? Their SINMP, ISW, EOI selection result. Download it and check what they are. See, these people even add it up back, as in they have it from now till like 2018. So this is a data that you can work with. For people that are in data science field like me, you know that we work with data. You understand? What I did was that I juxtaposed the data. I went in, I looked at the trends, and I drew out my insights that, okay, this is what would make me get selected. I also looked at my fourth option, which is Prince Edward Island, because I chose the provinces that I liked. I chose the provinces that would give me what I want. I chose the provinces that I know that, okay, if I start a business in this province, they can give me money, or they can give me, you understand, free land. I chose the province that, okay, if I come to this province, this one, I can have access to business, I can have access to opportunities, entrepreneurial opportunities. I choose provinces that help my French. So you can decide to choose provinces based on what you want, what you need. Those are the provinces I chose. Now, the next step I took was I ran the numbers. For people that are in the data science field, I'm a data scientist, so you understand, by MSc that I'm actually doing in the University of East London, and that is a story for another day or another slide. I'll still talk about that. But I ran the numbers, the SINP numbers. I said, okay, for instance, SINP, their one is that they will write the NOC codes out. So I took time. I said, okay, let me browse these NOC codes online. I just did, okay, NOC 10010. Do you understand? Canada. And he brought it out. And I wrote down the name of the NOC code. I put that on my side. Do you understand? I checked it in total. That okay, this is what they need. Oh, fine. Let me just look at the one that I can key into. Tech occupations of Ontario too. I look, all those ones were even smart enough. Sorry to Saskatchewan, them too, they are smart too, but the numbers really stressed me that time. So for the Ontario immigrant nominee, they had already put the NOC code, and they had put what, the skill at the side of it, or the occupation at the side of it. So what I just did was that okay, yeah, so this one's tech occupations, they need software engineers. Okay, I'm not software engineer. They need this, I'm not this. They need. I started looking at it, so I was able to bring out the statistics out of what I saw. And the statistics I drew out was that okay, if you are in the healthcare, I have not been in the healthcare. Oh boy, me, I cannot have time. I don't have patience to take care of someone. It's just the truth. So I cannot be in the healthcare. So I can beat patients. So it's better they their day when I'm in my own. I cannot be in the healthcare sector. But the tech sector, I knew that okay, oh, I think I have some skills, some transferable, and that is what I will still talk about, transferable skills. But what I found out was that 60% of the people they were inviting for, you understand, for nominations were in the health, 50% were in the tech, 70% were people that had French skills, 30% were people that were in trades. And I'll still talk about trades. Trades are people like, you understand, mechanic, plumbers, all these people. And 80% were people with job offers. I knew that to get job offer no be wasa, especially from Nigeria, because I applied to hundreds of jobs, and guy, I no get time. I just had to leave it. You understand? So I want you to learn how I did my Canada relocation. So what I did in essence was that I asked myself, I went into a retrospective mode. I asked myself that, guy, come, look at this thing. What are you good at apart from language? Teaching. I had to ask myself some good questions inwardly. Which other work experiences do I have that I can use to move to Canada without necessarily being at the beck and call of Mama Sebo? Abi, parler la langue française. You understand? So how can I prove it? That was the third thing. Because see, Canada immigration is all about proof. If you can't prove things, then even if you are it, you will get rejected. It's just the fact. That's why study visas get rejected like shege. Even if some people say yes, I'm rich. I had one person that came to meet me. He applied for study permit from Nigeria. He used one Oba. For people that know Obas, they are kings. He used the account of one Oba. That one had 150 million in his list account. He put down a sponsor that okay, yes, this one have 150 million. Nothing. Go to Dikini. Canada rejected it because he doesn't have proof. There was not enough proof to back it up. The fact that you put bank statement is not proof enough for study permit. Note, but bank statement alone was the only thing I used for what? For my own POF. I'll still come to that. Don't worry. Just be enjoying my my rant. So what I'm saying is this: you have to give brilliant responses, or else you are finished. The brilliant response I came up with was that, guy, you know, sometimes when you're doing business and you want to save up some cost, you do some things that you're meant to outsource. So I said, oh, okay, I saw that, man, in my business, I was the one that did the web development side of it. So that I was into tech. It's just that I didn't study it in school. I built my website, aosacademy.com. I said, guy, you fit use this thing as experience now to show that yes, you have experience. And he didn't even went there because like play. That time when I was in Nigeria, I also built websites for people. Do you understand? Like play that, okay, guy, pay me 100K now or 50K, let me do website for you. And people paid. So guy, you did this thing, but you were not a web developer. You just use WordPress. In fact, sometimes I'm even using like ClickFunnels, not even in tech. It's not even like IT coding and everything. I say, You can do this thing now. You can just say now you're a web developer and show the proofs. So basically, what I did was that I shanked for people that are Nigerians. I shanked my what? My language, my language skills, and I used transferable skills, my own self-built website, and my masters. Because as at when I was applying for PMP, I had actually applied for masters because I was intrigued about the concept of data science, and I already told, because one of the barrier of entry was that needed to show that I had experience, even though I didn't have educational credentials in tech. So I had to show experience. And one of the experiences I showed was my website to actually get into the school, the University of East London, to study in partnership with UNICAF. So I just kind of transferred that yes, too, I can use it to show that yes, I have experience, even though I was not yet done with my masters at that particular moment. But I was able to show with my what? Proof of what? My proof of admission letter, admission offer. And you understand the transcript that I had that time to show that yes, so guy, I've not just finished though, but visa officer, do normal. I'm into tech. So what I'm trying to say in essence is that this is how you can use it today. Find out about your transferable skills without necessarily focusing on your major job or even your past education, because some people will say, how can I go into tech? I did not finish. See what I said? I said I finished linguistics, language. I was in the faculty of arts. You understand? Department of linguistics and Nigerian languages. So not even foreign languages. You know, you do a strong thing because it invest me. When I was not in school, they were not telling me to learn Yoruba and to learn Hausa. I said, which one is the Yoruba and Hausa? How much that one go offer me? I have to go and study French myself in Alliance Française de Lagos. You understand? At and also like Le Village Français du Nigeria at Yaba. I say Yaba. Agbara, Badagry. But I'm trying to make you understand that you need to, after you have answered the 3 cardinal questions truthfully that I've talked about, you have to now start working towards using and gaining more in-demand skills in the NOC code that you have chosen to actually focus on. If you're a caregiver, use that caregiver to, even if you are a banker, but because you have experience taking care of your other children and you got paid for it, use that one instead. Do you understand what I'm trying to tell you? So look for all those transferable skills that could become your occupation, that could become, you understand, that thing that the immigration officers will see and say, yes, so this is the kind of hot cake we are looking for. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? So with that, we come to the end of the first part. And the first part, the first 4 processes, I do always call them the main dice sites. You know, dice is like when we are playing Ludo or playing Kini, we have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You understand? These are the first main dice sites, and there are only 4 steps you need for you to plan and start working on your PMP application. It is after, for instance, you have gotten approved, or you have gotten nominated, or you have gotten invited, or you have gotten your notification of interest. That is when, my brother, you can start focusing on the right hand side. My sister, you can start working on the right hand side. And most times, this is what you yourself need to work on. This one is what you need to work on. This one. These ones, other people can help you do it. Other people can help you achieve it. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Please, if you are learning, thank you very much. Really appreciate Daniel Boateng. You said you are learning a lot here. I'm happy. Thank you very much. Okay, let's move on. Now, the natural follow-up question you may be asking is that, are there any other ways for us to actually plan and also work on our PMP applications? Wow, this is 146. The simple answer to this question is yes and no. Yes, there are other ways, but no, you don't need to focus on the other ways to plan and to work on your immigration. So what are the other ways? Let's quickly move on. You on your own cannot plan and work on the other processes alone. These ones that are on the empty box, you can't do it alone. You need other people to do it on your behalf. And it's very simple because the IRCC official reasons for this, I'll state it right now so that you understand what I'm trying to say. One, the first stage, before we even talk about what is in them, to understand the set of these stages, I call those people, the people that would help you do these stages, I call them the four-time dice sites. You understand? The four-time dice sites. And why did I call it that? Because the first ones, the one at the left, you focus on these for your documentations and your processes. You are the one that focus on it. But these ones, it is time that will take you to actually achieve these ones, and other people would help you to actually do it within time. Now, I always tell people, understand this, please. If you understand this, you will not waste time focusing on something that you are not meant to focus on. People always ask me, Omo, I want to migrate to Canada, but I need a job to migrate. I want to get a job offer before I migrate. Oh boy, you are not serious yet, though. Because I didn't get a job before I relocated to Canada. Even till now, my brothers and sisters, I have not gotten a, or let me say, I have not searched for a job for myself. Let me put that straight, because you still see where I showed you how I've started a business which is recognized by Canada. You understand? But I have not searched because I don't need it. Because as I said, I started a business. I'm continuing my business here. Now, what I'm trying to say is that imagine snatching the meal of a lion or a lioness or a tiger in the wild. Can you snatch it as a human being? That is how Canadian job offer is. But in order to elaborate, let me elaborate more. The first way I and many of my partners, I'll still talk about them subsequently. Immigration lawyer, that is my partner. What they call it, licensed immigration consultant, who is my partner, and some job recruiters who are part of our partners. Because I told you we partner with quite a lot of people. Now, many options. I found out that the first way we spot people that are not serious, clients that are not serious, applicants that are not serious, is job search. When they say, okay, I cannot get to Canada until I get a job. See, let me tell you, many options are available for you to relocate to Canada without necessarily having a job offer. And that's why sometimes we don't even focus on British Columbia, because those ones will say you have to get a job offer before you get their professional knowledge. We don't, if you are not in Canada already as an international student, you understand, or as a visitor, or as a worker, temporary worker, I will tell you your chances of getting a job from Nigeria is 2%. And that 2%, the reason why I do put it as 2% is because God can help you, which is the Alpha and Omega, to get it after hundreds of applications. And two, if even though it is not official, if you pay for a job by someone to get to Canada, but it's not official, IRCC must not know that you are paying for a job. Do you understand? It's not official. Some people do it, I hear it, but I tell you, I don't do it, I don't focus on it, and I will not advise you to do it, because many of them get scammed. Do you understand? By actually paying for those jobs. Now, Lion in this first thing that I talked about is equivalent to Canadian citizens in the wilderness or in the wild. The lions that I'm using in this slide is referred to as the Canadian citizens, who are the people that own the jungle. And where's the jungle? Yeah, the jungle is Canada. Canadian job, what? Canadian job market. Two, the tiger are the permanent residents like me. Because before an employer will say that they want to give you, whether be it international student, visitor visa, worker, temporary worker, or even someone that is in limbo, they will first give me. Even if they know that yes, so this person is still in some training, and you are already like BSc, MSc, PhD, DDT, MT. I'm having fun here, my guys. Hope you two are having fun. Hyenas, if you are not a hyena, if you don't have qualified, you understand, certifications, and you are not patient enough, You are not a job seeker that is relentless. My brothers and sisters, see, don't try it if you are not a hyena. And the meal is the job offer which you want to snatch from lions and tigers. If you are a crocodile or any other thing, okay, crocodile we won't try. Crocodile will try to snatch. But if you are not part of all those things, see, the world is an unforgiving labor job market. Do you understand? These people that are even new Canadians, see all these ones that are showing the flag, that shows that they just got their citizenship. They will get those jobs. You understand? Spit it out. Get other jobs, spit it out, get other job before an employer will look at you to actually give you that job. Now, people with PR cards like me too, we get those jobs easily. You understand? Before you. So it's best, as I say, to our people to get here first before you focus on that. Now, the second way to spot on serious applicants is not job search. I made a mistake there. It's proof of funds. People will say, I'm still trying to gather my proof of funds. Or no, not even that. Some people will say, how much is the proof of? Yeah, it's too much. I cannot. You are not serious. That's just the truth. I've forgotten. See, if you want to be serious, you have to grow up, please. And the reason why I'm using some of these words here is to make you understand that POF, proof of funds, should never be a reason for you not to either be planning or even applying for PMP. Because this is one of the most easiest things you can do now. In PMPs, you just need to write. They'll tell you. And I changed my own PMP 3 times. I will still talk about that. It's still another thing. Because I put one amount there the first time. When I put it there, I say, this amount is just for only me. And I want my common law to come with me. It's writing, maybe it's number. You just type it form. You understand? Online form. I just put 14,000 the first time. I say, no, my common law partner has that they do. I put 70,000. Then I put 20,000. And you know the funny thing, you can change. But in international student visa, work visa, all those things, if you are not certain, if you don't put things that they want to, they have disapproved you. But it doesn't happen in PMP like that. So there are so many ways out there you can get your POF sorted. Some people even use money lenders. Yes, those ones I know that they are quite legit. You understand the ones, and there are some that are scams, so you have to be careful. So you can use money lenders without breaking the bank. You understand? And you can do all other things to get your POF, and it is going to be a legit one that you would not actually waste time and money on. So like this Nigerian guy says, please don't be unwise. Because many people focus on things that they shouldn't be focusing on. Don't be unwise. Get other people to actually do these things for you. And be like Oriyeton Honor that always think is the one that is wise and other people are not wise. So the third place in your application for provincial nominee program is for you to make sure that you are admissible to enter Canadian borders. Now, this is very absolutely important, but still, you are not the one that will do it directly. You will do it indirectly. You will get other people to do it for you. And what I mean is, you can't be the doctor and be, you understand, putting yourself or putting a syringe on your body. So you have to make sure you have no criminal records with the police back at home and abroad. Maybe, for instance, if you have stayed in one place, maybe like 3 months more or 6 months more, you have to get the police clearance certificate of that country too. For me, for instance, I went to Benin Republic, as I told you, when I went to learn French to perfect my French language. And I just spent a day there. Even the second time I went, I think I went like 2 weeks. So it was not substantial enough. And even the 2 weeks that I went, I didn't use my international passport then. I used my, you understand, le village français du Nigeria, la carte d'identité. You understand? I used my identity card. So my identification card that I used made me enter the border and come out without really stamping my visa the second time, because I was looking at it's the only Nigerian country and the African countries I want to be stamping the passport for. So the first time when I went for excursion, due to the ruling of the, you understand, center day, the second time I said no, I don't want to stamp passports because they will not look at my passport. They will not say that, okay, this guy has been stamping Benin Republic. That's rubbish. So even though it's expired without me finally using it to travel to other making sense countries. I still appreciate that at least I did not waste the with all these African countries with visa. So that being said, just to create a kind of humor, you have to be honest with people. Be honest with the panel of physicians who are going to be in charge of actually getting your medical records right. Don't lie to them. Don't what do they call it? Don't paint a picture that is not. Do you understand? And try not to have fatal illnesses. If you have it, already have treated it before you are being advised to actually go for your medicals. And if you have criminal records, try to sort it out, you understand, before you actually get your criminal clearance certificate from the police headquarters. So lastly, I think this is where we will stop for today. After the both PNP and federal IRCC application, or within the both PNP and federal IRCC applications, you have to take the last step, and the last step is the biometrics and visa. The biometrics and visa, if IRCC asks you to submit biometrics, is different from when they ask you to do it during study permit application or visitor visa application or work permit application. IRCC can still, in fact, the rate of rejections after biometrics, after asking for biometrics, is higher for temporary residents compared to permanent residents. Permanent residents, if you submit biometrics, they can just tell you that okay, there was one additional document they want you to submit that you should submit. They rarely reject your visa application after they have asked you for biometrics. But some of you may have been here. Okay, maybe I should just ask, how many of you have done study permits before or work permit before, visitor visa, and even after the biometrics, they rejected your visa? How many of you? Just so that if I'm lying, I should know. So let's just know. You understand? If you have actually applied for any Canadian visa, let me just know, please. Let's just be honest. We are just having fun here. So what I'm trying to say is, IRCC, once they ask you for biometrics, that shows that you already have a higher chance of getting the visa. And most times after the biometrics, they will just tell you to go and submit your what? Your passport. Once you submit your international passport, most times, even all times, I can say almost like 99.9% times, they are willing to give you the visa already. Do you understand? They are willing to give you the visa either for express entry or for the sole PNP application process. Note that even though you got maybe like the permanent resident visa in the last step of your immigration, you have not just gotten the permanent resident status. It was clearly stated when they shared us our confirmation of permanent residence that we had to come into Canada. We had to, you understand, use the visa that we got, which you are seeing on the screen right now. This was mine and that of my common law partner. Use the visa that we got, the permanent resident visa that we got, you understand, to come over to Canada, even though the COPR, which is confirmation of permanent residence, was not valid for travel. The visa that we got, which is the PR visa we got on our international passport, was actually valid. And it was when we now landed in Canada and the visa and border officers were okay with, you understand, our documentation and how we comported ourselves. That's when they signed us in as new Canadians and they congratulated us and welcomed us to into the country. So I want to also let you know that it doesn't really take time to explain, you understand, the time dice sides in details. I talked about two types of sides of a dice yesterday. I talked about the first main sides, or the main client sides, and I talked about the time dice sides. I will still, don't worry, the part one will explain in detail, but I will still brush up what we did yesterday. Now, the time dice sites involves four major things, as we talked about. We talked about the Canadian job offer, which is not important, as I said, because these time dice sites are the ones that you leave for all other second or third parties. You don't need to focus so much, because I see many people focus on, yes, I want to get a job before I come to Canada. That is more or less going to stress you out, because most times Canadian employers will not give job offers to people outside of Canada. You need to be in Canada, and when you are in Canada, like me, when you are a permanent resident, it becomes fairly easy for you to actually get what you want, the Canadian job offer. Proof of funds also, you don't really need to worry much about that when you get started in your application, because you will just write it down in your application that you have so amount, but you are not going to tender any documentation to prove it yet up until you get your nomination. So I always tell people, focus on having other documents, all right? You understand, which were the ones I talked about, the main four documents you would actually get in the first part. After you have done the proof of funds, after you have been actually considered for the visa, then you'll be asked to go for medical and police clearance certificate. Then you would also be asked to get your biometrics and your visa. But I want to tell you something, always focus on, you understand, the main die size, the major ones, the ones that are based on the clients, the ones that you do. And what were the ones we talked about yesterday, just for people that were not part of the discussion yesterday? The four major things you needed, you need more or less to actually use to get your permanent residence status, you understand, or your application started, is firstly your eligibility process, which I talked about in the first part. You understand, the eligibility process is the very first and major important thing you need to actually get started. I said this, that we are going to brush through what we did yesterday. So here is it. The eligibility process is the first thing you need to know. You need to know if you are even eligible, because provincial nominee programs are, they are voluminous. We have at least the last part, the last time I checked, there are over 50 to 60 different types of provincial nominee programs. So you need to know the exact ones that would actually guarantee you the ability of getting your permanent resident status. And that's the reason why we always undergo the eligibility process. Secondly, you need to get your credential evaluations. For those of you who are professionals, who have actually attended colleges, universities, polytechnics, you need to have the credential evaluation, and that would allow you to level a par with Canadians and permanent residents in Canada, so that they know that the credential you have is actually valid and authentic. Now, language test results is another thing you need to have for IELTS, TEF Canada, TCF Canada, or CELPIP, to show that yes, you are proficient in either the French language or the English language, or even both. You understand? And lastly, I talked about the winning NOC code, the National Occupation Classification Code, that you will need, because I talked about how it was very important for me, because without the right code, I got qualified on the other three processes, but because I didn't have the right NOC code, I didn't focus on the right NOC code, I wasn't given, you understand, I wasn't even selected for any provincial nominee program route. So you have to know the winning NOC code as at the time you're applying, so that you have much more chance or opportunity of getting selected. Now, I talked about the time die side, which I won't spend much time on, but I want to tell you something, that your permanent residency status is very important. Do you understand? On these two major sides of the dice. Do you understand? If you don't have any, you understand, especially the ones that you can actually control, you stand a fair chance. You may not be able to actually get the permanent residence card. And for me, as you can see, my permanent resident status was actually um very was actually accomplished, but when I got my PR card for myself and my common law partner, and likewise on with all the other clients we have worked with. Now, all right, so far in this presentation, we have covered firstly, we have covered how you can actually go about your A.O.S applications, how you could go about your educational credential assessment, either through any of the 4 to 5 different organizations we talked about, and you can actually get selected to move, you understand, to Canada, if you focus on getting your ECA firstly, getting your tests for IELTS, TEF Canada, TCF Canada, and your NOC code. Once those are actually settled, and I talked about the various NOC codes, you understand, that are currently right now being actually selected by what? By the Canadian Immigration Office. You understand? We talked about the healthcare sector, we talked about the tech sector, you understand? We talked about the French language speakers. We also talked about the trades occupations. We talked about quite a lot in the first part, and you can actually go back and check that. Now, I want you to know something. You need to become wise when you get to leave, you understand, the right sides of the dice, which is that of the what? The um other ones that other people will do, like the police clearance. You cannot do your police check, they will do it for you most likely. Your medicals, panel of physicians will do it for you most likely. The proof of funds, you can always definitely get someone, you understand, or get to actually work with, you understand, money lenders, banks, you understand, commercial banks, you understand, microfinance bank, to help get that sorted. Do you understand? So don't really focus on it. Just wait on the process, because that's why we call it the time dice. It does take time. You understand? However, if you are smart enough, you can easily fast track the time you actually wait. Just like I explained how these immigrants, you understand, they never got a job offer right from outside Canada when they actually applied for their permanent residence through the provincial nominee program route and the federal skilled worker program route. But you understand, within the time they landed in Canada, within few weeks, within few months, I talked about Sheye that is working in one of the top Canadian banks right now. He was a banker in Nigeria. When he came into Nigeria, Canada as well, he actually started in the banking sector. I talked about the second person, you understand, with the cap, Mr. Lawal, who actually was a lecturer in Kwara State University, and how he was able to actually get, do you understand, to was able to actually get the offer, the job offer to work in a university right here in Canada as well. We talked about Mr. Patrick, the one with the lovely smile, who was able to actually use his French knowledge, you understand, and the skills that he was able to get from learning with us to now process his what? To process his permanent residence to actually come to Canada with his family. And lastly, with the one with the lovely wife there, Mr. Diko too, how he was able to come to Manitoba, Canada through the PMP. I talked about it, and now he is working two jobs, earning a good deal of funds or money, you understand, by actually working together with his wife. Now, we also covered French language learning and IELTS. Do you understand? With even TEF or TCF Canada test preparations, and how I got to achieve the 7877 formulas. Now, this is very important because when you are applying, do you understand, or when you are planning towards working on your permanent residence, especially for the provincial nominee programs, you have to have some certain amount of documents. The documents I talked about was the IELTS, which you needed to have. You understand, there's always a combination of, oh yes, listening you have 8.0, reading you have 7.0, writing you have 7.0, speaking you have 7.0. And I told you, I showed you, you understand, my result, how I even maxed out. I got above that, which made me even much more eligible, because my own listening was 8.5, my own reading was 9.0, the writing was 7.0, the reading was 7.5. You understand, and that made me have my 8.0 overall band score with a CEFR level of C1. Now, also, I told you, I showed you exactly how I first failed in the TEF Canada examination. So as a result of that, I was compelled to go write the DELF exam. The DELF B2 was the one I succeeded in. I had 74 over 100 in that, you understand, in order to qualify me. But when I was writing the DELF the DELF C1, I had about 43. I was short of 7 points for getting the diploma for that from, you understand, Ministre de l'Éducation à Paris. Now, with that, I was able, as soon as I got the DELF exam and I saw my competence, that okay, I needed more training in the C1 level, all I just went to do is go back, train more on the C1. And after some few months, because if you could look at what happened, after some few months of writing the DELF, I applied for the TEF Canada again, and with that, I excelled with C1 parallel, which was quite similar with what I had in high LTS. So, what am I trying to say in essence? What I'm trying to say is that you need a kind of system that can guarantee you these results, the IELTS, the TEF Canada, and some of those I've talked about in the part one, how you can actually achieve that. Now, I was also issued two notifications of interest from Ontario and Quebec through their provincial nominee programs, as I talked about earlier. For the Ontario, they sent me a notification stating the provincial or territorial interest letter. You understand, through the express entry, how I was able to get invited for permanent residence through the Ontario government. Likewise, I showed you Quebec, how they sent me invitation à présenter une demande de sélection permanente. Now, with that, that was like the equivalent of the provincial interest letter that I got from Ontario. It was the equivalent of that of the Quebec. And with that, even though I didn't process the Quebec, I knew that, okay, yes, this is what Quebec province, you understand, actually needs from applicant, and this is how I can position all other people, which I have done for all other people, to actually get not only the Quebec but Manitoba, for Alberta, for Ontario, you understand, provincial nominee programs. And likewise, if you know Quebec well, you know that apart from the invitation they sent, they also send the procédure d'identification pour votre demande de sélection permanente, which is the kind of process you go through if you want to get, or you want to actually go through their own nomination. And you know, their own nomination is quite different. They don't give like the concept of the provincial nomination, you understand, approval letter. What they give is, you understand, the certificat de sélection, you understand. So that is different from what other provinces actually give. Now, I was also able to show you in the past part how I got nominated to relocate to Canada through the province of Ontario, and invited to apply for Canada permanent residence. You understand, by IRCC. I showed you how exactly they sent the nomination approval letter. You understand, by the Ministry of Labor and Immigration and Training and Skills Development. I showed you the confirmation of nomination. You understand, they actually sent to me. That was last year, you understand. And the ITA that I got from the federal government of Canada, when they actually drew a, you understand, a round of invitations, and I was selected with what now, with the CRS score of 1043. And that's the major thing here. If you are applying for provincial nominee program, you would get an additional 600 points. Do you understand? And that additional CRS 600 provincial or territorial nomination points would let you, even before the 600 points, if you can calculate well, I had about 493. Do you understand? And with the 493 points, I was more or less convinced that yes, I would get, you understand, the ITA sooner or later from the federal government. But if you remember, this time last year, 2020, they were still battling with the backlogs. So the record nominations they were giving, or invitations rather, the ITAs they were giving were quite high. They were given 500s, they were given, you understand, 550, 570. It was quite much. So I that had for the 493, even though if I had applied like 2 years ago, or 3 years ago, I'll be much more eligible, and even, you understand, taken as a hotkey. But around that particular time, do you understand? The points were high and I couldn't get selected. So that is why I went through the provincial nominee program route, and I was able, after getting the 1043 CRS points, I was able to apply for permanent residence. And that's what I want to do for you. Now, I also shared with you yesterday how I got, with no travel history, the Canadian permanent residence status once and for all when I applied. And I did it from Nigeria without spending tens of millions in college degrees, because I never came in as an international student. I didn't even waste time with other Canadian temporary residence pathways or refugee asylum claimant pathways. You understand? I didn't waste time doing the work permit. You understand? I didn't waste time actually doing the visitor visa. But if you look at what happened, you would see that my first passport that I got was a virgin passport, which I was not able to use to immigrate to any country. I remember that time I actually got the passport in 2013. You understand? It expired in 2018. They cancelled it without prejudice, as they do, you understand, in Nigeria. But I wasn't able to use it to travel. Though I do talk about, yes, I traveled to Benin Republic to learn French, but I don't consider that as an immigration. It was more or less a tourism, like just a kind of excursion. I don't, not even tourism, a kind of excursion. But after I renewed my passport in 2018, you understand, I made a pact with myself that I must use this, you understand, the new international passport to what? To get into a particular country. And that was when I got started, I got serious with actually working on Canadian permanent residence. Thank you very much. Someone asked if I'm going with the family, are we all going to do IELTS? Is an emphatic no. You are not going to all do IELTS, especially if you have children that are less than 18. They don't really need, or less than 22, they don't really need. Reason being that they are not considered as adults. But if you have adults in the, maybe if you are a single mother, for instance, you may just need to write it yourself. But if you are going with your husband, we will now have to look. back to the concept of eligibility process, we would have to first go through an eligibility process and kind of predict the kind of scores you could have, and now check through that, okay, if only you, for instance, actually do IELTS, will you be eligible for provincial nominee programs? If the answer to that after our process is yes, then it is only you that will do the IELTS. But if when we run the process and we see that your points are not enough to actually get the provincial nominee programs, do you understand? It is only then we now advise you, you understand, and you understand, suggest to you that your spouse to actually also do the IELTS so that you can have a competitive score for any of the provincial nominee program routes that we select for you to actually go through based on your own situation. So thank you very much, Omadara, for that wonderful question. That's a good one. So, and that is how you can actually know that this Canada immigration strategy works. Why? Because it worked for me, and surely it can definitely, if you actually take it serious, if you are willing to work with us or do it yourself, it will definitely work for you. Now, I want to also tell you something. After all, these were the things I was able to achieve by actually going through the provincial nominee program route. Firstly, I was able to go through the eligibility process, just like Mrs. Omalara asked. I went through the eligibility process to work on how to get nominated by Ontario. I was strategic about it. I didn't just leave it to chance. Do you understand? I was strategic about it. Now, two, I was also able to make use of my educational assessment. You understand? Because it worked for me. I only had a bachelor's degree. So people that even have a master's degree, they have much chance than me. People that have ND and HND, they have more points. They get more points than me. So you can even get better points than me if you have it and you actually position yourself right to actually get it. Now, I had my IELTS, I passed my TEF Canada with, and I got the test result, and these results actually helped me to keep my relocation dream possible and to not fail. You understand? Before I even landed here. Likewise, getting my winning NOC code, because I told you how I first used an NOC code that was wrong, 41020, if I'm right, the language coach, what do you call it, and other instructor, language and other instructors. I've forgotten I think will see it after some time. So I used that code because I was a language teacher in Nigeria, but I wasn't selected the first time I applied. I wasn't even they didn't even allow me to walk through any process of application. So as a result of that, I had to change the NOC code based on my transferable skills that I was able to prove, you understand, and I was able to actually back up. And because of that, that saved my Canada PNP application during the COVID-19 pandemic backlog recovery period. Now, likewise, the proof of funds that I used to accelerate the application approval, I actually got it with help of other people. You understand? So I always tell people, if you tell me that yes, you are not starting your provincial nomination program, you understand, processing because of proof of funds. Most times I see those kind of people as unserious because you need to start, you understand, with the little you have now. You understand? And yeah, I'm not that you don't bother about the other things that you need, the other costs that you would incur, but starting something now shows that yes, you are much more willing to actually take the risk, and from there you can now improve to get the proof of funds, the every other fees that you need sorted out. Many people, when they apply or they process it, they don't always have all the monies. You understand? They don't always have all the monies readily available. It is in the process they get to actually generate the monies they use for their immigration. So now, zero records of deadly diseases. You understand? If, for people that have sicknesses, I met someone that told me he had HIV, and I said yes. Even though you had HIV, you have HIV. If it's not yet a deadly disease in the sense that if you are not yet taking active role in preserving yourself, in making sure that yes, this thing doesn't affect you psychologically and you understand mentally and you understand medically, then you can still be admissible to Canada. But if it is in a chronic state already, then like when it has already graduated from HIV to AIDS, then it may be difficult for the immigration office to actually approve you to come to Canada because they know that their free healthcare will be spent a lot on you and they don't want to spend so much money on anybody. You understand? There's actually a kind of quota they put that if anyone's medical cost would advance in such a way that it gets to this point, they are not going to actually allow that person come. And there are different money. I think some are like $50,000, some are, so there are different quotas based on different people and different situations. Now, also, our clean state of having no zero criminal records also exonerated us in order to get our visa approvals quickly, because we didn't have any issues with the police here in Nigeria. When we even landed in Canada, the visa officer also asked us, do we have any issues? We said no. So it fast tracked our visa approval and our admissibility into Canada. Likewise, the biometrics also worked in our favor, because some people, they'll say they don't get their biometrics and it may take time for them to apply and stuff. But ours were different. We did our own swiftly and there was no issues with it. And I told you as well in the first part that the expense that I spent, the cost that I spent to work on all of them was roughly within 6.7, you understand, million naira as at then, you understand, which was roughly about 7,500 USD that I spent. But I understood that I didn't have all the money at once, and I didn't focus on having all the money at once. Rather, I started with what I had. You understand? I focused with what I could control. Sometimes you can't control funds. You understand? So start with what you can control. And most of the things you can control are always the cheaper things. IELTS, Step Canada, education assessment, eligibility criteria. All those things are like the cheaper things. Winning NOC code, you just select online. Those are the cheaper things that you can control. So focus on that first to get started. Many people, there are a lot of clients we work with that don't have enough. In fact, the proof of funds we talked about earlier, there are some of them that we assist to get the proof of funds. You understand? So it is not something that you need to bother much on right now to get started. When you have started and you understand, you're already seeing that this thing is working, then you can focus on all other things that you need. Do you understand? Now, lastly, this allowed me and my common law partner to set up an international business in Canada, which is fully registered by the government of Ontario right now. And just to prove in the point that we actually gave in the last one, the last part of the last slide, this is our registration from the government of Canada. You understand? We registered our business as soon as within a month that we landed in Canada. You understand? And now we are recognized to actually start up business to do. You understand what we know how to do best to help more and more people actually get into the country. You understand, of Canada. Now, I want you to see that knowing how to relocate with the provincial nominee program immigration strategy can give you that freedom to either pursue the business you want or also to pursue the life, you understand, that you want. And it's very important you know this, because many of us that have been here, our lives have improved based on the virtue of getting into Canada through PMP. Now, so can you see how learning to use these the 8 strategies that I like to talk about, the 8 strategies, how it can help you first of all land your dream job in Canada, just like some of our clients did, how it can help you start up your foreign business, and how it can also help you live the easy life with all your family members as soon as you land in Canada. Now, I always like to tell people there are other benefits that we cannot even finish talking about. You understand, when it comes to holding a webinar, we can't finish talking about it, because right now in Canada there are some opportunities that help you study here for free up to college. Now, please note, many of the so-called YouTubers would always talk about how you can get free education for primary education, for secondary education for your children. But I tell you, you can also get temporary, you understand, or tertiary rather, tertiary funding free without paying a dime for your tuition. But and that is why I always it's always annoying me one way or the other when I see international students that they don't even have the money. If you have the money, it's different. Some people don't even have the money to study, but they still apply for study permits. And I'll show you some people that reached out to me stating that I should help them. You put yourself in the mess. That's just the truth. So the fact is, I can't help you get out of the mess without you taking an active role to get out of the mess. Do you understand? There are other routes. I do tell people PMP is much cheaper. You understand? And much more rewarding. to say the least, than going through any temporary residence route. This is Ontario Student Assistance Program, for instance. And this student assistance program helps, you understand, students actually get to pay for their college or university education. You understand? And once they have applied for the school, just like my common law partner has applied for Rashidat Olufunke Yusuf, you will be able to get grants and loans to help you pay for university or college. I've once talked about Roshi that she didn't have the opportunity to study in Canada and in Nigeria because for 4 good years she was trying to apply. She even applied, not that she was trying, she applied to universities in Nigeria, but she was not selected. Why? Because of the corruption one. She got the points, she got the cutoff, she got everything, the jam, the WAEC, everything. But sometimes they even give her admission, and before you know it, when she wants to go and print the, you understand, slip in the cyber cafe, they will say they have already removed her admission. That is the kind of problem, the decadence in our society in Nigeria. You understand the moral decadence. So she was not able for, I think she finished around 2016, up until 2021. She wasn't able to get, when she finally even got an admission at the University of Ilorin, Kwara State, Nigeria. You understand? She got an admission of not what she wanted. And that time we saw that yes, the immigration was already working. That time there was even the so-called, you understand, strike happening in Nigeria University, which was unheard of because when I was in the University of Ilorin, there was never an issue of strike. But that time they were striking, you understand, with other universities. And I just had to tell her that, man, forget this thing and let's just process Canada. She came into Canada and now she is able, you understand, to pay her tuition 20,800, not with her money. Please understand it. Not with her parents' money, not with, you understand, the salary we are giving her to work with Canada abroad, with A.O.S abroad. Not with that, but she got that opportunity. She got that schooling. She got that tuition free education through what? The government of Ontario, legally. It's not kidding, legally, through grants, all these things. That's why I give references. I give, you understand, things. You can browse it. This is on the official website of Ontario. So not just you getting primary education free for your children, not just you getting secondary education free for your children, you can also get tertiary education free for yourself and for your spouse or your common law partner once you come in through the right way, because these opportunities, the OSAP, is only meant for permanent residents and citizens of Canada. So if you are not a permanent resident, if you even come in through international students visa route, you come in through, you understand, which other one do they have, visitor visa or work permit, you won't get this opportunity because you are not a PR resident yet. Now I also want to tell you, this is one of the conversations I've had with people that actually got these OSAP that we talked about, the grants, you understand, from the government. And this man, is a Nigerian, and as Nigerians we are sharp people, you understand, he stated it on, you understand, the WhatsApp group that we joined, which is the Canada Newcomers Grants and Benefits. You understand, WhatsApp group. If you want the link, okay, I think the link is there that you can join. They have links. You understand? It stated like where I talked about 20 million naira to 25 million naira. That is where I really want to focus on, because you understand the stuff is actually long. But what I got, because me, I'm someone that is money, when it comes to money, I'm always attentive. He said that he, as a family of five, you understand, his spouse received a total funding of 41,000 CAD, and that is roughly 25 million naira. He also received 33,000 CAD, which is roughly 20 million naira, without a loan. So it's not that you come here and you pay for the loan after you school. Rara. The only thing is that what you say you want to do with the money, do it. You understand? And funny enough, the money is not only covering the tuition fee. Please note the fact that, just like Rashidat, the fact that yes, she wants to go to school and pay 20,800, which is roughly how much now? 12 million naira. That fact does not mean that they will give her that 12 million naira. Gege. No, it doesn't mean that. What they did for this guy, you understand, and his family member, is that they paid for his tuition. They gave him a laptop and gift card, you understand, or gift card, because yes, when you are in school studying something that is related to tech, you need a laptop. Or even in here in Canada, you need a laptop. It's not something that is important. Just as you need a car, you need a laptop. So they gave him a laptop. You understand? They also gave him, because he has a family, a huge family of five. They would give him access to what? Free daycare of his children, so that while he's studying, he's not being affected. You understand? And yes, he can decide the daycare he wants to take his children, or you understand, their children. You understand? He will decide. The only thing is that the government gave him the money, you understand, based on the amount that they feel he needs. So he can decide that, okay, they have given me 10 million naira. My daycare, I don't, let me spend 2,000. Or you understand? Let me spend 2 million for it. They don't care because they have given you. So anyhow, the only thing is that while you are studying, don't complain about children again because they have sorted you. You understand? So in fact, some of them can collect money for daycare, and at the end of the day, they'll just give maybe like all these more boy to actually take care of the children and be chipping in with few. So what I'm trying to say in essence is that any course you want to study, anything you want to study in this, you can come into Canada as a permanent resident first. You understand? Get your papers sorted well. Do you understand? And you would have free access to studying. And it doesn't end in studying, because me, as I came, I've studied in Nigeria. You understand? For my bachelor's in linguistics. I'm also currently studying in the University of East London, where I'm paying quite a amount of a sensible amount of money for an online. You understand? Degree, a master's degree, data science. So I didn't want to study again. And I'll say, okay, what other social benefits can I get from the government? What other social benefits can I get from non-profit organizations? You understand? So we checked through online, and we saw that if you are a permanent resident of Canada, you can even get endless free meals. And this is no joke. This is no joke, because we go into this in fact, since I think May or June that we landed, we have been going consecutively every month to the Muslim Welfare Food Service, Food Bank Service in Canada, here in Brampton, Ontario, and we have been giving every month free food. This, the one that is at the center, that kind of box, or on the trolley now, that was what they used to give us the food. In fact, we first took all these normal bags to go get it, yeah, like shopping bag. But after the first time, and we saw that we couldn't put everything to fit in, we had to be taking traveling bag to collect food. Do you understand? So what I'm trying to tell you is that you have no excuse to come the wrong way to Canada when it comes to what permanent residence. There are a lot of benefits, a lot of advantages you can gain when you come the right way. And even if we had a full day together instead of just these 2 hours that we have, it's going to be very difficult for me, very hard for me to almost give you all I can give you in this session. And that's why yesterday we broke it down. We talked about some things yesterday. We also talked today again, because yesterday we spent 2 hours, and I didn't want it to extend up to, like, you understand, 3 hours, 4 hours. So we have to break it to today. But still, this presentation isn't going to clear, it's not going to really change more lives as I want it to change, because there are still a lot of things about permanent residence that we have not been able to cover. So you need more than that, basically. And everything that I've given you today and yesterday, even though it is valuable, it's just the tip of the iceberg. It's just a tip, seriously. If you like what I shared with you so far, you will love definitely what I have for you next. Now, you see, before doing this presentation, I actually asked myself that I was faced with two major choices. The first choice is that if I was to actually do this, do I actually go through the first option? And the first option was to part ways with you and then just hope that by sheer magic on your own you can figure out the PMP route. That was the first option that I got to think of. But the second option I got was that, okay, wait, could I take a more active role and responsibility for your PMP success so that you would get here as a permanent resident fast? You understand? And we can be able to create a kind of win-win situation. You understand? In other words, can instead of you doing it alone, can we do it together? And well, I chose the second option. I wanted to be active. I wanted to be supportive in your, you understand, quest to come into Canada freely, cheaply, you understand, without spending all what you could have spent naturally on, you understand, temporary residence pathways. Now, the result of working more than 12 hours a day, every day for the past 4 years on my relocation, is what is going to be readily available to you. Everything I know from coming from Nigeria, you understand, or even other people that we have assisted from other African countries. You understand? And people that we are currently assisting from Asian countries. Do you understand? So, and people that are from even America, the UK. You understand? Because I have a friend who went to study in the UK and he has spent a year there. And man, even though he got scholarship in the UK, man, he says in his own words that he has understood the fact that UK is a country where you just, if you don't have money, you can't enjoy the country. If you are just starting out, you need to get to a country that will support you every step of the way. So he has to come into Canada roughly, basically. Do you understand? And now he wants our help, and we are trying to help him. So if you want to relocate to Canada, set up your life, set up your business if that is what is, you understand, important to you. Get free education if that is what is important to you. And if you even want, just like some of our, you understand, clients we talked about earlier, if you want to get high paying jobs, you understand, as my common law partner has already, and other clients, then you understand, I need to make you understand something. Everything again, I'll say, I know about getting Canada PMP application ready, you understand, and permanent residence visa approved quickly. From more than half a decade of immigration experience that I have, from 2018 to 2023, if you really, really want it, and I want to see some charts, I want to see that people are actually following me. If you really want me to help you and assist you and walk you through the process, let me see your chat. Let me see your conversations. Let me see maybe like a high, put a high on the chat section. Let me just see that yes, you really want, do you want to do it alone? Do you understand? Or do you want us to do it together basically? Which one do you want? Before I introduce to you what I have for you today. Okay, thank you very much. I see some people right now. Okay, now what I'm trying to say is we have created what we call the Canada PMP system. And the reason why I call it a system is because with this system, you can get trained freely. Do you understand? You can get to actually move to Canada easily. And you can also get to move as fast as possible, even though you may not have understood how to do it before. Now, again, with this particular system I'm talking to you on today, I want to first of all give you all the perfect 8 processes that I talked about in the first part and this part on how to become a permanent resident of Canada, how you can immigrate on command, like how you, as if you are commanding the visa officer. You understand? But you are not commanding, but simply just putting a very compelling application out at a cheap price compared to what you would have spent on temporary residence. You understand all the millions or tens of millions you could have spent, or how to actually do it instead of being an on-hold immigrant. I like that term, on-hold immigrant. What do I mean by on-hold immigrant? Refugees, for instance, people that are coming and seeking asylum. It's good to seek. I'm not saying it's not good, but you can get fucked up easily by actually coming through a route that you don't have control over. Do you understand? There are a lot of immigrants, I shared it on my past slides, that came and sought asylum and now they are sleeping on the streets because the government have not been able to actually get to approve their applications. Some that have even gotten approved, they can't even get because they have spent so much that now is as if they are just begging to live in Canada. And I don't want that for you. Do you understand? Here, through this Canada PMP system, we would follow through all the 8 sides of the dice: the eligibility process, the credential evaluation, the language test results would help you with it, the winning NOC code, the Canadian job offer, the proof of funds, the medical and police, the biometrics, and visa. Do you understand? So we would help you focus on these documentations and methods and also help you get others that would worry about your application and your visa approval. Now, so here is what you would get from the Canada PMP pathway. Now, Omolara, okay, thank you. You said hi. All right. I think, do you want to say, ask a question or something? Now, What will you get? I want to break down everything you are going to get in this. Firstly, if you are someone who didn't get your Canadian visa at the first attempt, or the second attempt, or even the third attempt, getting visa denials, or visa rejections, or visa refusals, then, or if you have created an express entry profile before, and since God knows when you have not gotten that ITA, that invitation to apply from Canada, or if you are currently struggling, you understand, to actually get the right documentations, do you understand? Getting the right requirements for the Canada PNP application, like we talked about the list of documents for Canada PR, the passport, the credential assessment, the proof of funds, the language test, the offer letter from Canadian employer, the provincial nomination certificate, or territorial certificate of nomination, the marriage certificate if you are married or divorced, you understand, your divorce certificate, medical report, your job seeker validation code, your birth certificate, your photographs, your police verification report, or you understand, police criminal records or criminal certificates, your express entry profile number, your letter of recommendation from previous employers, or your personal reference code. There was one client that reached out to me that got fucked up literally by using a bad recommendation letter from his previous employers. All his other documentations were sorted, but it was that reference letter that got him denied and almost even banned from applying. You understand? For permanent residence. And I don't want that for you. You understand? So if you even feel that you are too old, because some people say, yes, I'm already 45 years above and 55 years above, can I actually get this sorted? So if you even feel too old, you understand, and you feel that, yes, old dogs cannot actually play new tricks, basically, and you have almost given up on the possibility of migrating through the wrongly, and I say it, the wrongly accused complicated Canada PNP application. They wrongly accuse it, and that is why I say it is wrongly accused. Because if you know how the ball rolls, if you know how to play the game, you will not have issues with it. Then, if all those criteria fit you, then pay attention, because this is for you. Firstly, we have the immigration pre-evaluation process. And this is the first thing that is in our Canada PNP system. If you might be wondering, what is a Canada immigration pre-evaluation process? I've talked about it here, but I'll reiterate it. An immigration pre-evaluation process is a complete ticket to your PNP relocation. I call it ticket, not a travel ticket, but a ticket of you getting approved. Why? Because it is the very first step you take before you start even planning or gathering documents. Many people miss this step. Some people skip this step, and when they skip it, they skip their visa approvals. They skip their nominations, because you need to know how eligible you are first. And after knowing, if for instance you are not eligible now, you can use the pre-evaluation process to find out how you can get eligible and how you could focus. Do you understand? So that you don't waste time chasing shadows. You don't waste time on things that will not even benefit you. Now, doing the right thing at the right time, as quickly as possible, can fast track your PMP applications, your PMP journey. And this is a sample of what I'm trying to explain to you. Before, I've seen countless of people, countless of clients who got rejected. Some people got rejected 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. From doing what? Applying to the wrong provinces, or applying through the wrong visa applications. Some people applying through study visas, they got rejected. I've talked about it in part one, where the statistics does not favor you. The statistics that for every person that wants to become an international student in Canada, do you understand? 3, 4, 5 people get rejected. Do you understand? Because of the application of one person. So if you are not a very good applicant, someone that, yes, they feel that, yes, they must have in their country, you will get visa refusals. This is a client that reached out to us before he worked with us, and he got visa rejected. You understand? By scrupulous agents in Lagos. We don't consider ourselves as agents, but I'm trying to tell you this. Your story can change from this before to after. This after was my own application. Within 90 days, I got to fast track my PNP application after I knew what worked. I never wasted time. You understand? Because I even never got any visa rejections because I had a virgin passport that I told you. I also didn't apply for any application, only the express entry, which they didn't select me on. So I didn't even get rejected. They didn't even select me express entry when I did it. But then I now metamorphosed. I worked on the PMP, and the PMP was my changing. You understand? Grace. You understand? It was what helped me. So I want you to wise up. A profile with a clean slate, a profile that you create, an application that you create with a clean slate, with no ambiguity, with no visa refusals in past applications, with no deportation history. For some people that reach out to us and they tell us that yes, oh, I went to UK or US, I overstayed my visit, now I'm back in Nigeria, can I apply for Canada? These countries share data. Do you understand? They share data with one another. It's not science. It's not science fiction. They share data. Do you understand? So if you have shown that you are not reliable in one country, it will definitely affect you in the other country if you are not able to prove the reason why. Because sometimes when you prove the reason why it happened that was beyond your control, then they can consider you. But if not, you may become inadmissible to Canada. You understand? If you have not faced desperation, if they don't see that on your file, they are not depicting desperation. Some people keep on applying, like this person before, keep on applying, keep on applying. See, if you cannot wait on a 6 month period at least from the first visa rejection, if was a visa rejection that you cannot really work on, because we have had scenarios like Mr. Warrior, which I showed you before, who applied for study visa the first time, the first month, he came to us, we told him what he just had to do on our consultation sessions and how he can actually set it up in a way that they know that yes, okay, this thing can actually work for him the second time, and he got the visa approved. Now he's in Canada with me. He's in Brampton, Ontario, specifically with me after the first rejection and getting the second approval through that. I talked about him extensively on our part one, so you can check the part one of this what they call it, training for that. So please understand it. If you have no cause for visa refusal, if you have no cause for inadmissibility, you can surely ease the process of you. In essence, if you actually want to get the pre-evaluation process, you understand, the pre-evaluation process will show you how to do these 10 different things. Firstly, it will show you the 3 to 4 best PMP pathways for your own specific application that you can follow, you understand, in order to work on your PR or your Canada immigration plan. It will also show you, because for instance, I showed you in the part one, and I'll also show you here as well, that Ontario is one province, like the province I am right now. It has different routes that you can use to relocate under their PMP routes. I used, as I talked about, the French speaking skilled worker program. You understand, route. But you may say, okay, yes, I don't have French skills. You can go through what we call the Ontario Human Capital Stream or Capital Priority Stream. Do you understand? HCP. You can go through that stream instead of the French stream. There are different streams. So in the pre-evaluation process, you will get to know the sub programs or routes that you need to use to get your visa approval chances. You understand? You would also get the available job opportunities that are already available for you and your spouse or common law partner, which definitely would assist you to actually work on. We would also help you to show how you can predict your CRS and PMP eligible scores, so that before you even get started with any application, you are sure that okay, if you start, this is the point you would have, and you'll be able to actually get selected, so that you just don't spend money and waste time doing nothing. You would also be able to see the pre and post ITA support documents that you require, which is inside our complete checklist that you will provide you with. Meanwhile, our complete checklist that is available for people, the public, on our website, aosabroad.com, is different from the complete checklist you will be provided with, because we have improved on the checklist that helps you to, you understand, get more facts and more things based on our own immigration process. Now, inside this pre-evaluation process as well, you would also get to see the calculated duration of your PMP program and visa application. For me, for instance, our PMP process, it just took about 3 months. You understand, to get selected, to get invited by interview. We will tell you that okay, if you start now, this is how long it's going to take you to get invited. This is how long it will take you to start your visa application. This is how long it will take you to get approved. We would show you, you understand, estimates of those timings, and you would see it. that this thing, based on what we have actually done before, works. We would also show you the average cost analysis you would incur from the very beginning of the process to the end, even though we don't always want you to focus on that. Now, we will not want you to focus on that because you can start with the minimal cost you have, and as soon as you advance, we even help people to actually sort, just like I said, the POFs before. We help people to get it sorted if you want us to get it for you if you don't have the cost. Now, we also show you the payment information and the installment details available, because just as it is available in our organization, the Canada Immigration also allows, you understand, the kind of sort of installment payments. It's not compulsory you pay all the application fee and the right of permanent residency fee and the, you understand, Ontario immigration PMP fee all at once. You can actually break them down, and we'll show you how to go about that. We'll also show you the PR visa benefits you will get for you and your family, and we'll not just show you, but as soon as you get started with your process, we could have helped you start, you understand, getting some of those even before you land in Canada. And that is very important. Even before you land in Canada, we would assist you. You understand? If it's to get the information right, if it's to get the credentials that you will need in order to get those benefits when you land in Canada finally, we would help you with this our pre-evaluation process. That is why it is not the normal pre-evaluation process we do for every other person out there. Lastly, if you want to school, you want to study, we would also list out all the schools you could study in for free when you land. And we'll not just list them out, we would also help you if you want to apply for, you understand, free grants when you come for your spouse or for yourself. We will help you through this pre-evaluation process. You understand how to actually get linked up with the schools, how to get linked up with the free grants, how to get linked up so that you can have a wonderful stay. And this is what people don't do. This is what you may not see out there, because here we just don't want to bring you here and leave you in limbo. We want to be part of your success in Canada so that we can actually be happy that yes, you actually came here through us. And mind you, the last thing is that this pre-evaluation process is going to serve as a fail proof digital blueprint of your entire Canada PMP journey. Mind you, I didn't say application, PMP journey, the journey from when you come, when you plan to come to Canada, when you come to Canada, and when you actually settle in Canada. And that is very important. Now, for me, this process, it cost me 7,500 USD. In application for 5 years, right from 2018 when I talked about it in the part one, how I started, you understand, down to 2022, and how I was using a kind of trial and error to figure out what works and what doesn't. So it was a hard, a slow, and an expensive way for me to go about it. In fact, as at 2022, you understand, the worth of 7,500 USD was no longer 7,500 USD. It was like 12,000 because of the bad dollar to naira exchange rate in black market. So I want to tell you that instead of you spending the monies that I spent, you can actually get it by using a fast, a cheaper, and an easier way. I don't want you to spend 5 years trying to come in. And that is what people do most likely when they come in through other pathways. Because if you come in through the student visa, especially when you come in through bachelor's, you may have to spend 5 years before you get that PR. In fact, I told you I met one Nigerian who was actually working in Walmart, and she has been here under temporary residence route for over 4 years. Do you understand? Why? Because she got stuck. She got employer specific work permit, and the employer is not readily available to help her to get the PR. Do you understand? So I want you to avoid that. Don't just be here and be at the beck and call. You don't have any leverage above any other any other Canadian employer. It doesn't work. So I want you to avoid you spending 5 years of trial and error. Avoid you spending 7,500 USD. Do you understand? And get it faster, cheaper, and easier. Now, the value of this first course, the value of this first support system that we have for you, and that's why we call it system. It's not just a course, it's not just like an online course, it's not just like a book, it's not just like anything is a support system. We have various support systems available. We help you through the process. We don't just leave you in limbo. Do you understand? The value of this, you understand, is just at a fraction of our investment of time, because it takes at least 3 to 6 months before this thing materializes. You understand? So it is just at a fraction of the time cost, a fraction of the money cost. You understand? And it will actually incur, you would actually elsewhere, if you have to get this $899 to actually get this elsewhere. Now, here is what you get: the 899 value worth of immigration pre-evaluation process. But this is just the first, it doesn't end there. Now, if you haven't started your relocation process at all, you haven't done visa, you haven't done any, you understand, any programs before, or you want to even try this PMP route, you understand, either be it the Northwest Territories nominee program, the Yukon nominee program, the Saskatchewan immigration nominee program, the British Columbia nominee program, the Alberta Advantage immigration program, the Manitoba provincial nominee program, the Ontario immigrant nominee program, the New Brunswick provincial nominee program, the Nova Scotia provincial nominee program, the Prince Edward Island provincial nominee program, or